Very exciting news last week when SmartSuite announced their newest feature release, Gantt Charts. Gantt Charts come along with a new field type, Dependency. So if you're exploring this new feature, or if you want to get a sneak peek into what SmartSuite has just released, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Gareth, the owner here at Gantt Consulting, and it's our mission to help you to get organized and automated in no code. SmartSuite is one of our favorite no-code tools, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you the newest feature from SmartSuite, the new Gantt Chart view, along with the dependency field, a brand new field type inside of SmartSuite that allows the Gantt chart to function. Now, before I get into things, I first want to invite you to join me for some training. Automation is the cornerstone of building anything in no code. It's what's going to save you tons of time once you learn how to build automation. If you want to review the key fundamental building blocks of automation, doesn't matter what tool you use, any tool in no code automation functions this way. Grab that free training that I offer at gappconsulting.io/webinar-registration. You can sign up for free, get immediate access, and go ahead and learn all those key fundamental building blocks so that you can start living an easier, more organized life with automation. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into my screen here. We're going to take a look at SmartSuite's newest feature, the Gantt chart. But as we always do on this channel, before we start dissecting the feature itself, we first have to talk about the data schema that we are looking at in our example. So here I have a solution called marketing campaigns. Marketing campaigns has three different tables that are interrelated. At the highest level, we have our new campaigns. So every time we go to build a campaign, we can start here, we add the campaign, give it a name, assign it a client, and ultimately every campaign is going to move through different stages as it progresses. So that's our second table. In our second table here, we have 5 different stages that are built out for our campaign. So here we are, campaign 1, this is our sample campaign, and you can see that we go through these 5 different stages. First, planning, then evaluating the measurability, then we determine the target market, then we focus on campaign delivery, and then ultimately we get to the campaign evaluation. So these are examples of the different stages that a campaign might go through. And depending on whatever you're working on, your structure will be relatively similar, but maybe your campaign stages are a little bit different, for example. So you could change these out, you could rearrange them and redo an ordering. Ultimately, what we're getting at here is that we have a hierarchy. At the top level, we have campaigns, and then under that, it goes through various stages. Now, lastly, we have tasks, and the tasks are assigned at the most granular level. So here in the tasks, we are assigning tasks back to the stage. And then, of course, we're able to look up the campaign. So we have a link to the stage where, in this case, these tasks 1 through 3, are all associated with the planning stage, but specifically the planning stage for this campaign, right? So we're able to look that up using a lookup field, and we're looking up the value of the campaign from this stage. All right, so as we go through this, we're going to build the Gantt chart in our lowest level. So for us, we have 3 levels. 3 levels is the maximum number of levels that the SmartSuite Gantt chart supports. And in order to build a Gantt chart, we are going to need a few other fields at our most granular level. Now, I've added here the assigned to field. We have a status field, the priority field, but most importantly, what we absolutely must have for a Gantt chart is a due date field. And this is a field type inside of SmartSuite, but I want to highlight for you that not only have we selected a date for each of these, we've selected a start date and an end date. And this is one of those cool features about SmartSuite where we have the ability to have a date range inside of one field. So many other no-code tools don't allow us to have that, but SmartSuite does. So we've said, hey, in this case, this particular task is going to range from January 8th to January 12th. Awesome. So you'll see as we build out our Gantt chart that we can actually make all of these tasks interdependent upon one another, and those dates are going to flex based on the ranges and the rules and dependencies that we establish. Very cool stuff. Let's jump in now that we have the basic building blocks in place. First things first, we're going to come over to our views over on the left-hand side and go to create a new view. you'll now be able to see the Gantt view option. This is only available for all paid plans for SmartSuite. So if you're on a free account, the more advanced Gantt view will be unavailable to you until you upgrade. This reminds me, if you haven't already signed up for SmartSuite, please consider using our affiliate link. I will include that wherever you found this video. It's a great way for you to show some love back to the channel. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and plug in that Gantt view here, and we give it a name, determine whether it's public or private. This is what we do for any view in SmartSuite, and we go to create the view. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that SmartSuite is giving us a little bit of a warning here, and it's saying, hey, hold on. You don't quite have all the fields required. We are missing this new dependency field. Again, this is a brand new field just released from SmartSuite along with the Gantt chart. So we can create this dependency field, and this is what the Gantt chart is going to use to map out the dependencies of the various things on our chart. So go ahead and select yes, you are willing to create that dependency field. Now in my case, because I've already worked through this as an example before recording, it's saying, hey, we actually found one in the recycle bin. Do you want to restore that one? I don't want to do that. I actually want to create it from scratch here. So let's go ahead and create a new field called dependency, and the dependency field requires getting mapped to that due date. Now that due date field is needed for the Gantt chart, of course, and so that is what it's going to be looking at, and it's going to tie that in on a lot of the dependencies. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Before we get any further, let's look at the other options here. Inside of this, we have auto scheduling options. First part says, do you want to automatically schedule tasks based on their dependencies? And this, as I'll showcase for you, makes it really easy to build out your Gantt chart. If you check this box, what it will do is if you build a dependency between two things, it will say, well, thing 2 cannot start until thing 1 is done. So I'm going to know that the due date needs to get bumped over. That is pretty cool, and it's going to automatically do that so that you can see what the total length of time for a project will be based on these different dependencies. So that's one option. The other one is applying backward scheduling so that it works back up the other direction as well. So that if you say, hey, thing 2 depends on thing 1, let's backtrack and allow that backward scheduling to work as well. Pretty cool features, all with a toggle here, just selecting on or off in terms of if you want to allow these things to be on or not. Now we also have dependency mode, and we have two different options here. The first one is the standard mode, and for the sake of this example, this is all I'm going to be demoing in this video. Now, as you see here in the standard mode, it allows us to set up simple dependencies with ease using finish to start relationship, ideal for those who need a straightforward way to link tasks without the complexity of multiple dependency types. But you can get way more advanced with advanced mode, with access to a comprehensive set of options, including all 4 dependency types, and the ability to set lead and lag times designed for experienced project managers seeking in-depth control and customization over task scheduling. For us, as I already mentioned, this is not going to be covered in our video, so we will keep it on standard mode, but I do want to go back to auto scheduling and be sure to toggle on the automatic schedule tasks option. So once I'm happy with this, I can simply add this field, and we are going to see in just a moment our entire Gantt chart created. Now, I have a lot that I want to do to this Gantt chart, a lot of updates that I want to make, but before we get there, I first want to go back to my grid view, and I want to bring in that new field we created called dependency. What exactly is this field? Well, take a look. We can see the number of predecessors and successors for each element inside of our tasks. So for example, I might say, let's see, in order for us to complete task 2, it relies on the fact that task 1 has been completed. So we would say that a predecessor, in this case, would be task 1. Find it from the list, add it, and there we go. Once that's been added, the reciprocal has also been added. So in the case where task 2 has a predecessor in task 1, then you'll notice that task 1 now has a successor in task 2. So this basically just is that reciprocation or the reciprocal element of this relationship. If this thing depends on this, well then after this thing will come this other thing. So that's what we're building with our dependency here. Now I want to point out that while we can come in and click and select successors as I just demonstrated there, the easier way is obviously going to be on the Gantt chart itself. So let's flip back to that Gantt chart view and let's do a little bit of magic here. Now, first and foremost, it's going to help me to see my tasks if they're grouped by stage. Remember, that was the next level of hierarchy that I built. It was campaigns all the way up at the very top, and then those were broken into stages, and then each stage was comprising of multiple tasks. So let's work on grouping. So first I'm going to say group here by not tasks, but I want to group by those stages. Where is my link to stages? Add that element here, click out, and now you can see that I have my tasks here, but above those tasks is the grouping of the stage. And this is really, really helpful, actually. If we look all the way over here, tasks 1, 2, and 3 are all related to stage 1, which is our planning stage. And up above, already, we have this summary of this stage. So it's saying, look, I've got task 1, 2, and 3, and up here at the top, I'm telling you that overall, the planning stage is going to take us 14 days. And that's because this one's going to take 4, and then we can kick off to this one, and this one can be running in parallel. Now at an even higher level, maybe I want to see that whole campaign. So I can add an additional group. Let's find the campaign element. So if you remember, we had the campaign lookup field, and of course this is going to be above the stages. So I'm going to reorder those things. And now I get this summary of the entire campaign. How cool is that? It's rolling up all of the information about the 5 different stages, from planning all the way down here to the campaign evaluation. And that's all being rolled up into this. Now, what I want to highlight for you is back at campaigns, nowhere did I ever do any kind of calculations. I never said take the first task and the last task and roll it all up. That field does not exist here. It is not at all in my data. All of this is just automatically created for us inside of the Gantt view, making it really, really powerful. Now, before we go in any further, I do want to also highlight for us that these different fields were automatically created with the Gantt view. So we have, number 1, the name of what's happening here. So this is the task name, but also rolls back up to the previous hierarchy. So in this case, the stage, and in this case, the campaign, all at this level. Now, ultimately, at one point, I'm hopeful that we can collapse all of this and just say, hey, I want to collapse all my stages or expand all my stages. But right now, I don't believe that that is possible with the release of the Gantt view. However, I do have these other fields as well. I'm talking about the start date, and this is relevant to that particular line item. So if I'm looking at a task, the start date and, of course, also the end date is relevant to that task. Whereas if I'm looking at the stage, then the start date and end date is the smallest number and the biggest number in that span of time. So the smallest date and biggest date, and it is also showing us duration, and at the task level, showing us who it is assigned to. So a lot of powerful stuff, all visible on the left-hand side, but most importantly, I also want to highlight that we can collapse this. If this is too much, if you just want to look at the Gantt chart itself, collapse that whole side panel and just look at the calendar timeline view. That way we can actually see those different tasks as they move about on the timeline. But for us, I'll bring this back, and now let's talk about how we can do a little more fancy stuff with these dependencies. You'll notice as I hover over a task, I can actually click and drag it and assign it to other stuff. This is actually building the successor and or predecessor relationship on a task. So I can say, for example, task 2, rather than going into the record and saying that this will be dependent upon, or rather task 3 is dependent upon task 2, I can just click and drag it. And I want to point out to you that as soon as I released that task 3 moved. If you recall, task 3 was kind of layered and stacked over here, starting at the same time, but when I built the dependency, because task 3 is dependent on task 2 getting done, automatically SmartSuite knew to move it. Now, if we go back to our grid view, we can see where these controls are stored. It's actually here in our dependency field that we built. So if we go in to modify those settings, that's where that auto scheduling lives. So this is that component that said, hey, I'm going to automatically schedule tasks based on those dependencies. Like you told me in this example that task 3 is dependent on task 2 getting completed, so I know that task 3 has to get moved on the calendar. If I don't want that to happen, if I want to manually reschedule my tasks, I have to uncheck this and update the field. Now we can go back to our Gantt view, and I can take another example. Let's go over here to task 4. If we say task 4 and then task 5, as in task 5 depends on task 4, I can drop this now, and I'm still going to get that arrow, but I'm not going to see the automatic shifting of dates. I also want to highlight that I can add multiple dependencies. So task 4 might be the predecessor for both task 5 and task 6. So here I can come in and select it one more time and also build that relationship to task 6. And so now you see that there are two things here, two arrows associated with task 4. Task 4 is, basically a predecessor for both 5 and 6. And that's all demonstrated there. Of course, I can move these things around and showcase some better arrows and just make it a little bit prettier. And I want to also highlight that as I'm moving these things, you're seeing those dates change over here as well. Of course, as I expand the tasks within a stage, the stage also moves as well. So here the stage is 30 days in duration, but if I move task 6 back, then of course now this has been reduced. So you can see everything right here, and you can move around, not only being able to move the dates and the task on the timeline, but also coming in and manually changing that information right here in the data. So many options when it comes to putting together your Gantt view. Now, as I mentioned, in terms of things that I really hope to see, the biggest one for me is the collapsibility of these different elements. I want to be able to collapse down at the various levels that I've grouped by. So ideally, I would love it if I could just come in and collapse down to the stage or collapse all the way down to the campaign. I do want to highlight that I can go into my grouping and select collapse all, but that's it. I just have collapse all, and then all I'm seeing over here is all of my campaigns. So that's great if I only want to look at the top level, but if what I want to see is really that stage level, if I want to see all my campaigns and then under that all my stages, I don't know how to get that information right now from this view type. I don't know how to collapse down to the stage level. It seems like we only have the chance to collapse everything or collapse nothing. So hopefully this is a new enhancement or a new upgrade that SmartSuite makes in the near future. But other than that, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on what you think about the new Gantt view. Does it solve the problems that you had inside of SmartSuite? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, we went pretty fast in this video, so if you have other questions, be sure to drop those as well. And in the meantime, my friend, keep on building.